Day 12 of the New You for the New Year Success Challenge. Dr. Herbert Harris here. Welcome to the New You for the New Year 21-Day Challenge. I challenge you to use the New You for the New Year Success Bundle this first month of the year to set yourself up for health, wealth, happiness, love, success, prosperity, and money throughout the year. Get the New You for the New Year Success Bundle now at www.herbertharris.info. That's www.herbertharris.info. Every day for 21 days, I will share a success training to help you start this year strong. Watch the daily trainings on Facebook at Life Vision TV and DR Success Man. And now, the success training for today. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is Success Mentorship Class number 214. And our topic for today is developing your power of forgiveness. Developing your power of forgiveness. Pam, thanks for joining us. Nashe, thanks for joining us. This topic is based on our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success, where we talk about some of the higher powers that you possess to assist you on your journey to achieve the life of your dreams. And also on some of the things on our website, www.herbertharris.com, where the book is available and our home study course is available to help you implement the ideas and concepts in the book. This topic, developing your power of forgiveness, is a very powerful one because it goes to the very core of who we are. There's a beautiful quote. Louis Smeds said, "To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner is you." Forgiveness is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner is you. Wow. So when we talk about forgiveness, I guess the first stop is to really ask, what is forgiveness? And you know, there's often a simplistic definition, and it says that forgiveness is a decision. This is key. Forgiveness is a decision to overcome pain or hurt that was inflicted by another person. Forgiveness is a decision, a choice to overcome pain or hurt that was inflicted by another person. I like to really look at forgiveness in a much more complete fashion because it takes a number of things to really facilitate forgiveness. Number one, you have to acknowledge that you've been hurt. You know, many people live a life subjected to pain and hurt, but never acknowledge it, making excuses for the perpetrator, for example. So forgiveness is one, acknowledging that you've been hurt, acknowledging the pain. Two, choosing, making a decision to overcome that pain and hurt caused by someone else. Three, it embodies an action. In other words, you have to consciously let go of anger, resentment, revenge, anxiety, all of these negative emotions associated with this pain. And then finally, you have to resolve it. You have to figure out how to go forward now once you have forgiven this person. So when we look at the idea of what is forgiveness, the immediate thought, I was discussing with one of my colleagues, and they said, well, what has forgiveness got to do with success? Let's even deal a little deeper than that. Why is forgiveness important? Forgiveness is important because it is a negative emotion that is harmful to your state of mind. Forgiveness is important because it is a negative emotion that's harmful to your health. It's important because it's a negative emotion that's harmful to the results you get in life. How does that happen, Dr. Harris? Well, number one, when you fail to forgive another person, you can only harbor that resentment by staying there. In other words, the only way you can hold another person down is to be there with them. So when we forgive, when we don't forgive, we literally put ourselves in a position of holding on to a negative thought. And where does that negative thought? It resides within our consciousness. So if we don't forgive, we are literally, think about this for a moment. If life is a garden and flowers are your positive thoughts, your positive relationships, the good things you do in life, and weeds are negative thoughts, negative emotions, and the terrible things that you do in life, then what does lack of forgiveness look like? Lack of forgiveness is like a weed. It's a negative thought, a negative emotion that you permit, operative word, you permit to come into your life and literally consume your garden. So the natural order of the universe is the yin-yang order, positive, negative. You can have, anytime you have positive things, and I know many of you on Instagram, many of you on Facebook, those on our Zoom, many of you, as you do great things in life, have you noticed that at the higher you get up the ladder to success, the more success you have, the more challenges you have? And it seems that as you increase your vibration to attract the good things into your life, the universe responds with negative vibrations, weeds. And that's just the way things work. And so literally, we live our life by making constant choices to follow the light, to follow the good, to choose goodness. And so when we fail to forgive another person, we are literally planting weeds in our own garden because we're holding negative emotions. And the only place you can hold a negative emotion is in your heart and in your head. And your heart and your head is really the garden of your life. So it is important to forgive so that you can fly. When you don't forgive, you're like a plane that has too much cargo. You know, on the runway, have you ever been on a plane? And it was scary one time. The pilot said, we're a little overweight. We need to go back to the gate and remove some of the baggage. And I'm like, man, I'm glad they found that out. That's not a good thing to get up at 35,000 feet and realize you're overweight and start coming down. So lack of forgiveness is like having this extra baggage on the plane that is your life. And so you spend your entire life on the runway of life because all you have is negative baggage, and you have the solution. You can choose to throw that negative baggage out. And that's what forgiveness is all about. So for our listeners today, how do you know that you need to engage in forgiveness? If you're stuck, if you seem that your life just seems to be on one runway to another runway to another runway of life, and you never get off the ground, you never achieve the greatness that you know you want, lack of forgiveness may be a core, maybe a reason. It may be even deeper because there's a whole nother level of forgiveness. It's like forgiving yourself. Or not. Gone off the rails. You see, in our childhood, in our early years, we often experience pain, but we don't have the consciousness or the understanding to process it. I'll give an example of what I mean. Think about a couple. They divorce. Let's say the husband runs off. So the wife is left with a child to raise. She needs to work now to support herself and the family. So she says, well, you know what I'll do? I have an aunt that's a retired teacher. Let me let my son live with his aunt because she's there all the time. She can take care of him. That's a good thing. That child needs to be protected, needs to be taken care of. But from the perspective of the child, his mother's not there. And so that situation can develop a negative emotion. And I've seen it come out later in life when people get to that point where they hit a rock and it wells up inside. It's like, you left me. You weren't there when I was a child. Why did you leave me with Aunt Lucille? And once the child grows up and understands, you had to be left there so that your mom had time and had the ability to make the money to take care of you. So that child, that young man, as he grows up, if he does not resolve that negative emotion, that feeling about his mother, at some point, it can control the rest of his life. And so this forgiveness thing is critical, is important. So what does it have to do with success? You know, why we're in a success environment? Why is this important in success? Because success is a vibration. We attract that we are. We know the law of attraction, and it says that become the person you want to be to attract the people you want to have in your life. Become the person you want to be to attract the type of success you want in your life. So it's always life is lived from within out. But remember the garden that is your life. So all of your success efforts take place on the garden of your life. And so if you have lack of forgiveness, emotions based on lack of forgiveness lurking there in the garden that is your life, it impacts everything you do. This is scary, folks, because when you're on that path, that success path, and you checked all the boxes, and yet you don't get that breakthrough, you don't make that flight, you don't get off the ground, somewhere forgiveness or lack of forgiveness may be the issue. We live the life from within out. And so when we're on our success journey, we prime the pump for success. In our fantastic Friday talk with Sade yesterday, we were talking about priming the pump of success. And you prime the pump by what you put in. So after sacrifice comes blessings. So those of you who've been to the country have seen a pump, you pump it to get water, but you always keep a cup of water next to it, because in order for the pump to function, you have to pour some water in. They call it prime the pump. So there's a universal consciousness that operates from priming the pump. So when you sacrifice, when you put in the time and effort, the water comes out, success comes to you. But you are a total being. And so if you permit lack of forgiveness to lurk in your consciousness, it's a negative seed. And so when you may be priming the pump with your flowers and your good ideas, but we're total beings. So we're literally, can you imagine an orchestra? You have maybe a 12-piece orchestra and it sounds good, and one person is out of tune. People hear it. They may not know who's out of tune, but they say something is wrong. Something is, they sound good, but there's something missing, something off. Well, when you have lack of forgiveness inside you, as you prime your success pump, these negative emotions can undermine your results. It's almost like, life is lived in like milliseconds. How long does it take to make a decision? A millisecond. And the decision may be life altering. There's stories of people who are going to a particular destination and in their car and something said, turn right, and they turn right immediately. 50 feet down the line, there's a huge truck coming out that would have hit them and possibly killed them. We talked about the power of intuition. And so these things all work together. So when there's lack of forgiveness, that negative emotion is right in there with all the other good emotions that you have, undermining your efforts. So that unforgiveness creates self-doubt. And so even though you're doing all the things you want, you harbor this unforgiveness of somebody who's hurt you, who's not even there anymore. And that little negative seed can have you be off that millisecond. So you don't make the turn, you get hit by the car. Be off that millisecond where you raise your hand. It's like the game of Jeopardy. In Jeopardy, you have to not only know the answer, but you have to be the first one to buzz. So if I were on Jeopardy, I'd practice learning how to buzz quicker. So lack of forgiveness can create a negative. Anything that creates a negative emotion in your mind undermines your time and undermines your ability to respond in the most efficient way. So that's what lack of forgiveness has to do with success. It can literally undermine your efforts very quietly. You don't even know what's happening. So how do you achieve forgiveness if unforgiveness has such devastating effects on your life? And it does. How do you achieve forgiveness? Step one, you got to acknowledge it. You got to acknowledge the pain, acknowledge the suffering, acknowledge those negative emotions. You see, when people hurt you, three things, three choices. Number one, you can choose to not forgive them. I'll never forgive you for the hurt you laid on me. I'll never forgive you for cheating, for lying, for stealing. I'll never forgive you. So choice one, to not forgive. Well, then each choice has its fruits. Choice two, to forgive. Say, look, I release you. Okay, whatever it is you did to me, I release you. Choice three is to ignore it and pretend that it didn't happen. We're all familiar with relationships where, you're around and somebody, especially in around the family, around friends, where a spouse or a friend will say something cutting. I mean, something, some negative comment about a person. And the person, rather than forgiving or not forgiving, they ignore it. They'll say things like, oh, he doesn't mean that. She doesn't mean that. I mean, he's really a nice person. Even though they may be demonstrating some of the most negative, mean behavior, when you ignore it, it's like you make excuses for it. And so you can never overcome forgiveness without acknowledging it. Step two, make a list of your reasons for not forgiving. Forgiveness is an interesting emotion, but it's a lot like fear. It is fear of a type. Fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. And so when you make a list of the reasons for not forgiving, it sort of pulls back the sheets on that negative emotion. And I'm not going to forgive this person because they caused me pain. I'm not going to forgive this person because, and all these reasons, they embarrassed me in front of my friends and family. When you make that list of reasons for not forgiving, take a look at it critically and follow it up with a list of how not forgiving will affect you. So if you don't forgive this person, especially a family member, if I refuse to give them for the things they've done to me, I think I better stay away from Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas dinners. When you make a list of the things that will happen when you refuse to forgive another person, wow, it creates such a negative vibration, and it gives you a picture of how your life will be if you permit the seed of unforgiveness to grow in your life. When you say, I'll never forget the hurt, that negative emotion is there and grows with everything else. Remembering that to maintain that negative emotion, you must relive it in your mind. Step 4 is to write out how forgiveness will look like for you. See, this whole idea of forgiveness is not for the other person. They could care less, frankly, depending on the person. I mean, there's some people, when you forgive them and they know it, they needed that because they needed someone to give them a clarity about who they really were. But there are a lot of people that you forgive them, they don't care, they'll hurt you again if you permit it. So what will forgiveness look like? Well, forgiveness may look like, I got that person out of my life, I've met the right person, and everything is going good. Forgiveness may look like, I have finally resolved the issue between me and my dad, or me and my mom, and man, it was such a breakthrough. Forgiveness may look like, you know what, I'm going to forgive myself for past failures. You know, and I had a bad frame of reference. I wasn't clear. I was acting out of ignorance. Now I know better. Oprah says, when you know better, you do better. So when you write out how forgiveness will look, it helps you now know what to go for and know why to go for it. And then finally, the 5th, every hurt has a lesson. So what are the positive lessons you can gain from executing forgiveness? Well, let's look at some of the lessons quickly. If you don't forgive, you see, the lesson of forgiving is now that you free yourself from anger, anxiety, and resentment, and revenge. So you feel so much better. Another positive lesson is that negative emotions are like seeds. And so just as you can, the universe will plant those seeds, but the lesson is don't you plant them. And so therefore, any negative emotions that reside in your consciousness, take it out. If it's jealousy, if it's anxiety, whatever it is, take it out and remove the cause of it. So once we've gotten the positive lessons, then the question is, how do we go forward? And so we go forward first by learning to acknowledge that when we look at our lives, and if it's not going the way we're going, then acknowledge that situation. Because once you've acknowledged it now, you have the power to make the choice to change it. Being honest with yourself is a key to executing your power of forgiveness. Take action on it. In other words, you cannot say, I forgive you, and then in your consciousness be thinking about, I'm still going to get you. You know that old thing, I'll forgive, but I won't forget. No such thing. Okay. As long as you keep that thought in your consciousness, you have not forgiven. And then resolution. This is the key point now. When someone has hurt you and you've forgiven them, how do you go forward? Sometimes when you forgive a person, they needed it. they needed someone to love them enough that that person would forgive them. Sometimes when you forgive another person, they don't care. Okay. And now it's on you. How do you go forward? There's some people that when you forgive them, the best thing to do is stay away from them. I know that you're a snake. You're still acting like a snake, but I have the power to stay away from you and your snaky ways. Sometimes it's really a beautiful thing when you come together, when you forgive a person and they feel it and they say, man, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know why I treated you that way. And the fact that you've forgiven me just lets me know that I'm not such a bad person. And let us try to go together. I've learned a lot from your forgiving me. But see, don't let that be a requirement, because that's something you may not have control over. Forgiveness is about what you do for you. And then finally, forgive yourself for everything that you did not experience. Forgive yourself for everything that you've done to yourself through bad thoughts, through negative emotions, through bad habits, through bad associations. Many times we get so insecure about the choices we make with regards to the people we permit to come into our lives. We get insecure about the choices we make in taking care of, taking advantage of an opportunity. You see, when you have these unresolved negative emotions inside, they slow you down from going forward. So let us summarize today. I hope today's message is a subtle one. It's not kind of in our usual vein of step 1, step 2, step 3, but it's like the underside. It's like the foundation. You know, when you build a house, no matter how beautiful it may look on the top of the ground, if the foundation is rotten. Highway 40 was initially, when they cut the trees down to bring the highway through, some brilliant person decided that why should we're cutting these trees down, why don't we grind them up and make them, you know, part of the foundation for the highway, and we'll save money on putting in a stronger foundation. The trees are here, we're gonna pay to move them with us. Well, what happened is over years, the trees were organic entities, and they decayed and they began to turn to dust. And that was the foundation on this highway. Superhighway was laid, it was built. And so when we had these underlying emotions like lack of forgiveness and unresolved inconsistencies, there's like a foundation for our house is on shaky ground. You know, in the Sermon on the Mount, it's a statement when the master teacher got to the end and he said, you can take these sayings and you can listen to them and live your life by them, and you can build your house on solid ground, and the winds and the rain may come, but your house will not fall. But if you don't take these sayings and live by them, then your house is built on shaky ground and it will fall. So using this technique to get rid of unforgiveness helps you provide a foundation on which you can build the life of your dreams. You know, when you go back to the Lord's Prayer and it says, forgive those who trespass against us, as we would like to be forgiven for our own trespasses. And that's a statement of the harmonic universe, of priming the pump. In other words, if you want to experience forgiveness in your life, be willing to prime the pump by giving forgiveness. So folks, when we can do these things, when we can forgive all the negative things that have happened to us and release ourselves to be free to fly, when we can forgive ourselves for the things we've done to ourselves and the things we felt within us to be free to live, then we can be what we want to be, do what we want to do, and have whatever we want to have, always knowing that the best is yet to come. So it is. Thank you so much for listening today. Please share this broadcast with at least 3 other people like it and make some comments. If you've found great value in this message, make some comments of how you've used forgiveness to free yourself so that you can fly, so that you can be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have whatever you want to have. Always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, author of the 12 Universal Laws of Success, inviting you to join me on a personal success journey. This journey is sponsored by the New You for the New Year Success Bundle. This is a special bundle of over $250 in digital products to help you achieve outrageous success this year. It includes the 12 Universal Laws of Success ebook, and that's the electronic version of the 12 Universal Laws of Success. It includes the 12 Universal Laws of Success audiobook, over 6 hours of recorded information. It's the book on tape. You can listen to it in your car, in your bed, wherever you are. It also includes the complete New You for the New Year Home Study Guide. Now, this is a transformational home study course to help you go from where you are to where you want to be. It comes with a study guide and a workbook and a number of audios, how to study, how to assess your present situation, how to make life changes, how to set new goals and objectives, how to make an action plan and a blueprint for your success. In addition to these things, you get the 12 Universal Laws of Success workbook, so that as you read the book, you can fill in the answers and it will help you retain the information. You also get a live recording of a seminar on the 12 Universal Laws of Success that you can listen to, and it will be just like you're there. There's also a wealth building and trying times audio to help you have more money at the end of the month. The audio on the law of command will help you use your power of speech to create the world exactly the way you want it to be. And the 12 affirmations to live by poster, so that you can reprogram your mind, reprogram your thoughts to be exactly what they need to be to create success. And how much does it cost? Over $250 in bonuses for $77. That's $77 for you, to help you achieve health, wealth, happiness, love, success, prosperity, and money. Always knowing that the best is yet to come. That's right, $77 to help you create the new you in this new year. Go to our website, www.herbertharris.info, to learn more and buy now. www.herbertharris.info. Thank you.